All right, guys, this is a Friday session of the discussion critique, looking at Gisella's work. So this yellow, which I thought was so harsh, it seems to have gotten harsher. I'm not sure. The color looks correct here. This looks like RGB colors. Did you do anything with color space in your document?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Because this feels a little more sort of natural looking. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Now, you also updated the surfboard.
Yes, sir.
So that was a key thing. I think it is better. Yeah, it's better. But do you see that the details inside the surfboard are just so small? I mean, not that they're bad on their own, but they're just so small they get lost. I would sort of focus this down a little more. I think you have like a tortoise in the middle.
Yep.
I would just make the tortoise the focal point of the surfboard.
Okay.
And lose the other stuff, the jelly beans, and I'm not sure. There's the dot at the top. And then you've added this as sort of a secondary element. You could maybe style this a little more, maybe give some highlights and some dimension to this.
Yes, sir.
And then, like I said, this yellow, the softer yellow looks better than this. I would just, when you're in Illustrator, you can go to document color mode and see if you're in RGB or CMYK. You should be in CMYK. That's
Yes,
file,
sir.
document color mode. All right. All right. But you're looking good. You're pulling it together. What do you think? You happy?
I've definitely made progress, but I still have work to do.
All right, good. Great. All right. Paula's here. Paula, I'm sorry, my memory is so bad. I was just looking at your work, I swear. There you are. Atomic Cookies. I like where your logo came out. The font, this is a very funky font you're using, and I understand why. It's really kind of problematic from a legibility standpoint. And I think you could give it some hierarchy, like atomic really big and cookies. If you look at even like how the proportions are to the Full Sail logo, atomic, cookies smaller. You've got the green tractor beam and the cookie in brown. When you look at your identity package, you haven't quite figured out what are the common elements that you're sort of like creating a branded look. Black just sort of kills it a little bit. So if you're thinking about night, maybe it's like a deep purple or something.
Okay.
You could do a gradient even, you know, like from dark blue to dark purple or something like that. Try that. See, that might get you really excited. And then organize your type that way. And then you've got the cookie itself as sort of a secondary element. And I would find a paper color or something that you could use behind all these items. Everywhere there's white paper.
Okay.
Think about a color you could put in there that will help tie it together. But the black is so sort of extreme in a certain way, so it sort of demands attention. Once you figure out the substitute for a black, you might use it on the back flap here too. But you're making really good progress.
Okay, awesome.
Emmy Riddle. Are you in Central Florida?
No, I was really struggling to find like a Southern name to kind of like fit because that's where it comes from. So I used a name generator, and I was actually trying to make the address be closer to like Area 51, but I couldn't get like an exact pinpoint for around there because obviously Area 51, they don't want like
the address. Yeah, right. So the reason I was laughing at the name is because there's a sort of flight school here in Central Florida called Embry Riddle.
Okay.
And they teach aerospace and all that. They're like sort of connected to NASA and all that. And so I thought maybe that was a deliberate reference. Make the name and title bigger than the rest.
Okay.
You sort of organize it out of the way a little bit, like name and title. But good
Okay.
progress.
All right. Thank you.
All right, guys, I'm going to go through the rest of the work. You're welcome to stay if you want. Sable, this looks really beautiful. You've got a cohesive look and feel to this whole thing. The color palette's nice with this purple color, and then you're assigned to green. The one thing I would say is that your logo icon is fantastic, but it's all line work. I would give it some fills. You don't have to go crazy, but try that and see if the lavender color could work in the background, maybe some flesh tone on her face. You know, you could like add a little color. I don't think that'd be inappropriate. This this sort of low contrast illustrative pattern in the background is really wonderful, and it's working really well. So you're like 99% there. I would just experiment maybe with some fills in your logo and see where that takes you. All right, Calvin, stone soup. So here's a couple of stones having soup. I've not seen this icon before, but I do like it. It's a little bit complex. The one thing I'd say is this containing shape, the circle, I don't think you need that. It seems fairly cohesive, just the image. And everywhere it's black. Could it be something else? You need more sort of warm food colors. You've got sort of a taupey pink and gray. How about toasty brown, something like that, you know, toasted bread kind of color somewhere, carrots and beef, and, you know, think about stew colors and see how that adds in. Plus you could use a nice texture photo in the background for the paper, you know, like wood or stone. Maybe there's a stone texture in the background, and that will add to it. Right now, it's pretty minimal. You just got the logo, no other colors or background. So keep working on that. All right, Justin, Pacific Coast Orchards. So you've got your logo, you've added a paper color. By the way, this border, this would never work in real letterhead, so you can't have a border like right on the edge like that. There's really not any sort of secondary branding. You've got a shape, your color palette is pretty cohesive, but maybe you could add some imagery, maybe you could add some texture to the background. This sort of peachy color is fine, but maybe there's a different color in the background that sets it off more, gives some more contrast. Right now it feels very sort of safe, homogenized, and not enough branding, really. All right, Kendra, Layla's Coffee, you have sort of the same issue. All right, so you added these coffee beans as a decorative element. This is very nice, right? Your logo is kind of deadly. I mean, it's just a big square. I think there's a heart there. It's hard to see. There's hardly any contrast whatsoever. If this is some sort of scene, it needs more detail. It needs more poetry, romance, something. And the square shape is just kind of killing it a little bit. Maybe there's a more of an oval shape or a different kind of shape that's a little more in line with this brand. The type, by the way, looks like default computer ink lettering type. Find a better font for this, and your L is hanging way out. I don't know if this is defaulting from another font or something, but your typography needs some additional attention. I do like this background color and this decorative element. That's a great start. I think you got to go back, rethink your logo a little bit. All right, Alexis. So this is Tortuga jelly beans. I had to read from you where it is because it is totally illegible. Like I said, Tortuga jelly beans. Make it like this proportion. Look at that. You can actually bring the Full Sail logo into your document and try to match the proportions. And I would say that would help you. I can't really tell what the imagery is with the boat. You've got essentially a monochromatic palette with violet purple. Use more colors. Think of a more contrasting color palette that has both variety in hue and value. Right now it's just value. No, the hues are all the same. I think there's a green or something. It's so hard to see. It looks a little green. But think about your Tortuga jelly beans, the Caribbean. What does the Caribbean sky look like? What is a, Caribbean Sea? The color of sails, stuff. You really want to add some romance to this and bring it to life. All right, so here we are in this section. Genesis, you're doing Windsor Tea. I love your logo. I'm not a fan of this monochromatic on cardstock look. I mean, it just, Windsor Tea, super elegant English tea, and this feels very kind of lowbrow. I mean, it's a cool look, but it just doesn't seem appropriate for your brand. And your logo also has wonderful line work, but more fills. You've got a little bit of fills there. The background of this could be different. It's starting to work a little bit like this. This look is nice. If you could bring that look, I just think the monochromatic with the chipboard is what they call this background. It doesn't work. So add some color and more, like this cream is nice. Maybe these strokes could be a little more elegant or a little more variety. You could do kind of interesting finishes to the corners. Yeah, your letterhead looks good. This stuff needs to be reconsidered. And you can't have a dark envelope that dark. I would make that the same cream color. So add this cream color to the envelope and to all the cards. And use a color logo and maybe add a fill to the background. All right, Timothy, Brainiac Coffee, same thing. You've got line work for your logo. What's the fill color? And you just don't have to fill this. You could do a sort of painterly watercolor type fill. Makes me think of that. Black stroke on type, not the greatest look. You're trying to do this sort of initial caps. It's kind of a cool setup. I like the lockup. I just feel like this head needs to be filled with a color. And when you shrank it down, all the strokes got thicker because you didn't scale the strokes and effects. So when you go into, just delete this. If you create a shape with a stroke, all right, and I say I make that 3-point stroke, right? And then if I scale it, object, transform, scale strokes and effects. If I don't have that checked and I scale this down, it'll object, transform, scale. Yeah, 50%. Don't scale. All right, so I say okay. Why is it not happening? Got something going on. When you scale this down, if you don't scale the strokes, they stay at 3 points, 3 pixels, and that's not proportionate. Because if I scaled that down 50%, it would be 1.5 pixels. So make sure you have that scale, strokes, and effects checked on when you do it, or better yet, you can convert your strokes to outlines, path, outline stroke. And now it's a shape and it'll scale perfectly. See the difference? So that's what you need to do. I wouldn't put a stroke on the type. If you really want the type to have better contrast with the background, you could sort of double it up. Let me show you what I mean. This might be helpful for some people. So we'll say Brainiac. Brainiac. Clearly I'm not one. All right. That looked like copper plate. something like that. All right, so I'm going to fill this with a color. Now, if I want to have a stroke around this, if I just go to the stroke and add it in, it sort of eats into the characters a little bit, and it distorts the shape of the characters. So you see how the serifs are kind of filling in and stuff. So that's not a great way to do it. Now, what I could do is take this, I'm going to copy it, Command C. I'm going to put a thick stroke on this, something really thick. And I'm going to make it a different color than black. Let's say red. All right, now remember I copied this, so I'm going to paste it in front. It's cloning it. It's Command F, paste it in front, and it puts it right on top of that. And now, if I change my fill to something a little more invisible, you can see how it sort of outlines the word, and it doesn't eat into the characters, so they look a little better. And if you really want to get fancy, you can sort of shift it a little bit, give it a bit of depth. So that's just a quick and dirty way to sort of fix that if you wanted to. But you're having an issue there. And a fill for the head. This color is a good background color. You've got green, which is your assigned color. You've got a coffee color. And let's see, what are you going to add to this? This is definitely work in progress. So you need to have secondary branded elements. Maybe there's a background that looks like a chalkboard and has writing on it or something. I don't know. For Brainiac. It's very neat what you've got. Now get creative. Paula, we looked at. Shayla, cactus cookies, you improved this significantly. I do kind of like where your icon's going. I do feel like the type needs to be bigger. Like I said, use that proportion. You've added these secondary elements that have the pattern, which is really nice. I don't even mind this sort of block of color with just your word mark there. Maybe there's a nice sandy color to go in the background where all your paper is, wherever it's white. A very light version of this color, maybe the gold, but really good. It's coming along, looking good. All right. Benjamin, Thor's Coffee. So you've got the hammer cracking the coffee bean. You put it in the middle of the word mark, which is a little tough to work with. And then you broke apart your logo lockup because it doesn't work in a small space or something. But I would want to see your logo lockup appear everywhere so it's consistent. You've got these geometric shapes that seem to go with the brand a little bit. It feels a bit generic. You've got the lightning bolt watermark. These sweeps of color and the use of black and red always bugs me. So don't use black in your color palette, and consider that it's coffee. Maybe there's a dark, coffee color, browns. Just slightly increase the brightness saturation a little bit on your red, on the black, and make it more reddish brown. I think that'll help it. Right now, the black is just killing it. You've got sort of a gold color for coffee. I'd like to see more of that maybe used around instead of that black. She just feels very techy, and I don't know, it's not quite lined up right. So there's some issues there. So take another crack at that, see how that works out for you. All right, Johnny, brittle brick. I can't read that type at all. I think it's a little character made of peanut brittle. This is what I'm telling you. Bring the Full Sail logo into your document. Make your peanut brittle guy this big and the words this big, and it'll be a lot more legible. Also, what is your secondary element? What are you adding to this? You've got an interesting kind of orange paper color. Maybe that's in all these items as well. And is there a border, a pattern, more illustration, something to help it out a little more? Michael, Katie, I like this. You're using gradients. It's okay. Again, I think the proportions are off. Blood orange should be much bigger. Your color palette is, there isn't a lot of great variety in value. You need some lighter colors. When I see this, it looks, I love this green with the orange, red. This color combination is working really well. You still got to do the envelope. Let's see, what are you saying here? The deep aqua and lime green colors paired with the deeper orange red. Yes, they look great. Your letterhead, the letter itself would be black ink always. And just if you think about what kind of other elements you could use, you could create like maybe a pattern brush or something out of one of these segments of the lotus flower kind of thing, or the orange segments or something. You know, think about a pattern or something you could add to that. But in terms of color, you're kind of rocking it here. Maybe there's a lighter color for your paper products like the letterhead and the envelope. All right, there you go. You see, you can't have dark envelope like that with light type. The envelope has to be light enough for a black type to show up on it, like a laser print. You're reveling in color, and I love that, but that's just a fact of life. So find a light, desaturated kind of light color. Maybe you add it to this palette to use as a paper background. All right, section 6. Forest Coffee. Yeah, this logo is still problematic. You did a great job illustrating this cloud and the arm and everything. I would say maybe the cloud could be a lot simpler, less detail, and the Thor's Coffee has to be bigger. The type should be bigger. You've got this sort of watermark lightning bolt. You're rocking it on a lot of levels, so it's starting to come together as a cohesive thing. But you can see as you use this logo, it's just really tough for the type and the awkward shape and all that. So you could rethink that if you want to. The ghosted lightning bolt pattern is okay. This gray, I don't know that this is necessary on the front of the business card, because you've already, either you have the logo on the back and not on the front, and then maybe you could have the lightning bolt there, but it feels a bit redundant. So, but you made some good progress on this. I'll just say that. Just sort of the composition of this is what's tough to work with. Yeah, all right. Let's see. That's it. All right. Bashkim, I know you did some stuff. I don't remember seeing it. Hopefully I'll get to see your work before it's too late. All right. That's it for today. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do. Monday, we're going to go over package design. Professor Sabrina Wood is going to do the lecture, and she's a terrific lecturer. And we're going to have great insight into what to do for package design. All right, guys, have a good weekend. Good to see you, Gisela.
You too.
All right, bye.
Bye.